few years ago, I was hunting with a Savage rifle. That was a great hunt in the mountains, and then I stupidly sold the rifle. It must be maybe 15 years ago. And I always remembered it as a really slick rifle, and I've always been sort of on and off collecting guns, but had all kinds of other things going on in my life, and then sometimes sold guns. And it was only in the last, say, 10 or 15 years that I really got serious about collecting, studying things. And then I realized what good fortune I had had in the past, and I was looking for that Savage. And partly because it was extremely accurate, and I liked everything about it, even though it was a little bit crude. Anyway, things being as they are, I finally found two, and this is, you may never have seen these because you're used to the Savage modern rifles, which are superb. This is the Model 40 Savage, called the Super Sporter. This one has a extended magazine, and I was very lucky to get this rifle. Anyway, don't extended magazines make it seem like you're like really serious business? I don't know. Whenever I see one, I don't take this the wrong way, but I'm always thinking the guy plans on missing a lot. but this is the original factory magazine, and this may be a factory magazine too, but it's probably aftermarket. In any event, yeah, just a fantastic rifle. This one's in 30-06. So why do I like it so much? You can see no checkering, and unremarkable. It has kind of a Springfield-like locking piece on the back of the bolt, which works well. The trigger is unremarkable. I actually can't explain why I like this rifle so much, but like I said, extremely accurate, if that helps. And this one was not drilled and tapped. These go back a ways in time. Someone told me it was made in 1930 or thereabouts, and that could well be. I didn't explore the dates yet, because sometimes I don't do that. So why am I turning this around? I wanted to show you this Aperture Sight. It's hard to focus in on stuff, but this is one of my favorite sights, and when it's not drilled and tapped, I'll show you the top of the receiver in a moment, I can't see the reason to change the original rifle. So 30-06 Lyman Aperture Sight, and because of the longer sight radius, and because it's a aperture or peep sight, you can shoot so quickly and so accurately. I mean, the only reason that you would want to scope is maybe light conditions, if you're shooting at dawn and dusk. And in my case, I try to hunt in daylight, and usually in the morning is fine with the Aperture Sights. Or just don't shoot, wait until something changes and you get a better view of what's happening. Here's the coolest thing about this Savage in some ways, the bolt. You probably noticed that the action is quite long, and this is where it locks. I'll take the bolt out. It locks at the back. Now when you do that with a bolt action rifle, you get rid of locking lugs at the front, and when you get rid of locking lugs at the front, your bolt can be running very smoothly, and you have no problems with locking lugs and the magazine and the follower. So rifles that lock at the back tend to be very slick, and this Super Sporter is no exception. And I'll turn it around just so we can close in on these markings on the receiver. In case you're looking to buy one of these, I wouldn't describe it as a novelty firearm, because it's as good or better than a lot of the guns that you can buy now, but people just don't recognize them almost as rifles. I've seen them on used racks in the past. There seems to be more of a groundswell of interest in older rifles these days, which is understandable. And the magazine removes, I hope I didn't move it too soon, just with a button here, comes out, and I've never seen them fall out. The bottom metal is very rudimentary. You can see it's just sheet metal and 3 screws, which I didn't really count before. And the butt plate is steel. And what else can I tell you about this particular one? Not too much, except I took it out for filming, and they're always slick, and you can see I didn't do anything to buff the bolt. And then I gave it a shot of this stuff, and then that reminded me I wanted to tell you about this. This is the coolest thing. You know, sometimes products come along, and this is a glass bottle with a cork. It's from Germany. It's the original Ballistol or Ballistol, depending how you pronounce it. And anyway, I talk a lot about it on Patreon. But just a great product if you can get a hold of it. I don't think they will make them for long, and some people were writing me that they're all sold out. But it's a nice thing to have around. Anyway, I put some Ballistol on the bolt, and then it became just really slick. And here's the extraction system. You can see they make no mistakes. Everything is very positive. And the steel is glass hard. I don't know what kind of steel it is, but it's excellent. So this one's great. I've said all kinds of flattering things about it. And then which one do I like better? This one. I think this was on our recent Instagram, I'll move this gun over, Instagram video. And why do I like this one better? Because it's 30-30. Oh, I forgot to mention the safety is kind of cool. It's a rotating safety. When you move one side, you can't see it maybe, but when you push this, it says fire or safe. Kind of interesting. And this one, as you can see, is drilled and tapped. So I was kind of looking at this, and I took this out on a whim for that Instagram video, which is just a few seconds. And I set up some targets at close range for filming, and then I set up some targets further away. It was about 100 yards, I guess, and these are unextraordinary iron sights. I had no trouble hitting everything. These were just tin cans. I used that 6 o'clock hold, so I never lose sight of the target. And I always think practical accuracy, right? A target, maybe it shoots an inch and a half. I call it minute of Coke can, so that's what this one does. And I've never found the 30-30 to be lacking. In fact, a lot of the newer small cartridges, the 6.5 Grendel, and a lot of people I run into are hunting with 7.62 by 39. And you can look at those numbers. They're, I mean, in some cases a little more, in some cases a little less than the 30-30, which means the 30-30 was probably right all along. I mean, unless you have really, long distance shooting in mind, then you need the extra velocity. But people like it when I work the bolt, so yeah, I mean, it's perfect. And you can see that the lug position is unique. It's at a diagonal, so when it goes in and locks, I'm presuming that the lugs are horizontal. And I think I mentioned to you, I was, tinkered over the years with gun design, and lugs don't necessarily have to be vertical or horizontal. We made one that was diagonal like this, except it was at the front of the bolt, just trying to get the lugs out of the way of feeding, which was quite interesting. Anyway, very slick action, excellent rifle to buy. I don't have the extended magazine for this one, and sometimes people ask me, well, what scopes do you use? So I've had great luck with these Redfields. I think this was called the Revolution series, but don't quote me, please. I know they've always made good scopes. In fact, a long time ago, maybe they still do it, I'm not sure, they had a warranty lifetime, and I had a broken one and I sent it somewhere, and it took maybe 3-4 weeks, and I got a phone call, and they said, well, we can't fix this scope, even though it's like really old, but we can replace it. So they send a replacement scope. Now maybe modern times, maybe they don't do that anymore, I'm not sure. But this is excellent, and I think it's made in USA. I like that if it is, and either that or I'll put a Leopold. Nothing too big. These scopes get too big these days. Anyhow, there's a kind of introduction to a rifle you may not have seen, the Model 40 Super Sporter, and before filming I checked to see where it would say Model 40, and neither of these do. They just say Super Sporter. So yeah, if you want something different and very cool, I mean, maybe if you like scopes, a lot of you write me that you need scopes, which is obviously true. Try to find one that's drilled and tapped already, like this one. I think they drilled and tapped and then it's either factory and nobody put a scope on, because the plug screws look to me untouched. But I'll put that Redfield on there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and following the channel on Instagram. And please join us on Patreon. And of course, subscribe to the channel would be great. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.